go through that process?
That's because we're not in the air, right?
No.
Because there are a bunch of liberal.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
But yeah, we can do that. You can forward it.
But I would assume
But yeah,
Yep.
that's
that.
From
so
other
if you go
accounts
into
to
your
allow the
calendar
purchase,
here,
All right.
so.
So is there a way? Have ordered it?
I'll have to ask
put a-
Rebecca.
Okay, so
But
we're here.
who's supposed to be, we don't have to have anybody, right? Because it's just discussion.
Yeah, just discussion.
And look at us also close and tight.
Okay, we will call this meeting to order, and we will discuss item 1 tonight, resolution to amend the fee schedule by adding refuse cart pricing to Public Works section. And this is a discussion only, and we may take it up for a vote at the recessed Public Works meeting later on tonight.
Okay.
And I will turn it over to Dave Webking, Director of Public Works.
So for many years, we supplied services where we made available to residences two types of refuse carts, 96-gallon size as well as a 64-gallon size. Since 2004, we have sold these carts, we received them, we assembled them, and then we also on many occasions delivered those to those patrons' houses or residences as requested. And at that time in 2014 it was $45 for the 96-gallon container, and for the 40 it was $40. Now, since that time, 2014, we had many shipments. These shipments, the price of these carts has fluctuated. But recently, the last two shipments, based on, for whatever reason, the amount of material, labor that were being charged from this provider of Cascade, the price has increased to the point that it's up to $58 for a 96-gallon cart and $48 for a 64-gallon cart. So I just made a call yesterday and indicated if we want to order more carts, what would the price be? And they're already exceeding this pricing as we speak. And this is due to the petroleum products, the resin that's used to create the plastic within the cart. So at some point in time, it's going to fluctuate, and we're hoping decrease, hopefully when the economy and the materials are cheaper for them to make these carts. So we currently, right now, we are experiencing a loss. So if patrons would call, the city is purchasing or subsidizing the difference in these pricing. So my recommendation would be to adjust the pricing from 45 to 58 for the 96 and from 40 to 48 for the 64-gallon cart.
We shouldn't be losing money.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Alderman Grisham, please.
Is this the only supplier, and I'm assuming, just like when there was a helium shortage, that it's across the board? So the petroleum issue wouldn't be just the specific supplier versus another manufacturer of carts?
Correct. This is across the board for other manufacturers of these carts.
Okay. And I had reached out, just so my colleagues know, I reached out to Dave earlier in the week to kind of discuss if we could put a little bit of a discussion toward what we had discussed in past about all residents having these carts and making it mandatory. And it's something that I would like to sponsor at some point, but I didn't know if it would be appropriate to speak of that in this meeting. If we're looking at increase of prices on the carts, I just thought it would be something to throw out there right away and ask Dave to provide the data that we have, how many properties do not currently have garbage carts that are the, I would say, more appropriate, especially considering we have a rat issue in the city. So it's kind of something that I was working on the side, and thought I'd ask Dave just to present those numbers as to how many residents don't have carts right now.
So we currently have 18,000 living units, so multi-residential units, single family. Of those 18,000, approximately 16,000 residents have the city-provided cart that they went out and purchased. Of this past year, approximately 650 of these containers have been bought recently. So there's an upswing to obtain and purchase these carts.
Is there a particular area within the city that the numbers would show less, or is it kind of across the board?
It would be where the living units are more dense, more heavily populated. It's been more consistent where we've seen this, where you have more multifamily dependency and more refuse that's generated.
Would this be just charged on their property tax? Is that what they do?
So good point. If we do have a requirement that is set forth by the sanitation division, we do give them allowance to adhere to that violation and comply. If they don't within 30 days, then we do put it, for payment. If they don't provide payment within 30 days, it would be on their special charge, and then it'll be later on their tax roll.
Are
So-
you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I thought when we rolled out, this is before my time, I thought when we rolled out these carts, everybody in the city got these carts at that time.
That's a good point. That's for recycling. So,
Okay, so it wasn't for garbage.
correct.
No,
Yep.
no, it wasn't, not, no.
So everybody had to purchase their own garbage can.
Correct. So for recycling back in 2016, 2017, when we went to single source where everybody could put their contents in one cart, great decision. Thank you for doing that. It allowed us to have this container, which it was easier for collection.
Well, it was very
Better.
lucrative for people to purchase them at that time. The price was right, and I think a lot of people did purchase them.
They were free.
For the recycling, the utility, the solid waste utility provided one container for a
Recycling.
living unit, correct.
Right.
I think though at this juncture, if we would have had that, to be equal, I think there's a lot of people who move into the city too that just naturally assume that those carts are provided. And I think if we're looking at the numbers of 2,000 residences, I think it would be beneficial that we look at it mandatory. Then it's across the board. We don't have to worry about price hikes, and a lot of things. I mean, we will when they have to replace them. But I think if we just if we looked at doing that, getting the 2,000 carts rolled out, we can put that order in. We don't have to worry about, the back ordering of it, the waiting, the constituents having to wait on these carts, because a lot of them are complying, like you said, and
Correct.
want them.
We have 1,350 yet that need them, right? If you said we got 650 that are just,
Yeah, roughly 1,500 to 2,000
that need them yet.
residential units, yeah. And we do get some from time to time. Instead of having one, they want an additional refuse container because the demand for it is there with family members.
And duplexes naturally would have two. I have a duplex, so I have two recycle, two
Correct, yep.
refuse. Okay.
I guess Mr. Chair, I guess I understand where you're coming from as far as what you are suggesting. However, because of COVID and a lot of people are out of work, I would suggest we hold off and probably until next year for something like this. it's up to the committee, obviously, or it's up to the council.
If I may, this would be something that would be placed on the tax bill, correct?
That
Or
would
could
be
it
an
be?
option. You could, always give the resident the option to purchase, but I guess I'm thinking that you would have a compliance deadline, where approximately 6 months, 1 year, what have you, whatever the time frame is, to allow the household or this residential unit to comply.
And may I ask another question? Of these numbers throughout the city, are a lot of these non-owner occupied units that we would be speaking of, that we would have landlords that just aren't getting that and providing it for their tenants?
I wouldn't have the exact numbers, but I know that occurs.
A good percentage of it would be?
That I guess I can't say 100% certain, but I don't think it'd be that great of a percent.
Okay.
But that's something I'll try to see if we can identify for you.
I think that is one of the things that I had heard, at least, that, a lot of these are rental units
Yeah.
and the landlord just doesn't want to spend the money to provide, the
Yeah.
refuse carts.
And so now we
And
force
leave it
them to
on
spend it.
them,
Yeah,
right,
we
because, well,
force
it's
them
an
to spend
extra
it.
expense on a property, for profit
Yeah.
versus a homeowner. But, to speak
And-
to what you said, Alderwoman Ranky, I'm not in disagreement with the COVID being a hardship on a lot of people. However, we have been inundated with a lot of rat issues in the city too.
Oh, yeah.
And these residents have been dealing with extra expenses trying to abate their own rats and deal with it. And I think that if we really just tighten the reins on what we can do, city level right now is at least mandate those carts, so we're not having open containers, other things like that are rolling down the streets and garbage overflowing type of thing. So that's really my reasoning behind it, and I understand too. But if you're looking at one residence and the cost is what you said, 45?
48 for
40,
one or
yeah.
58. People, honestly, people would be foolish not to get the $58 one.
Right, the larger one,
Yeah.
but I know a lot of residents also, it's a matter of being able to maneuver that cart. We do have a senior program too that could have assistance with that, but that's why I think most of them take the smaller cart because it's easier to handle.
I would think we could do a 6-month, like if we implemented it now, we do a 6-month time to pay it off. If they don't, it wouldn't get tacked onto their taxes until 2022.
That would be an option.
That would be a.
which
That would be a good idea.
Because then you've got that 6-month period, which will take us into the first of the year.
Right.
If they don't pay for it by then,
Yes.
then they'll go at the end of 2022, it'll be on their taxes.
Yeah.
Is there
And
a
that would be the
demand,
timeframe.
basically, is there a demand for carts? I mean, do we have an adequate supply right now?
Good question. Currently, no.
We don't have any at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh,
So far this year, we went through 650 carts. Never before have we had such a demand. And we had to request transfer of monies from other accounts to, make this last purchase of 240 carts. So great question. So right now, it is an upswing for demand of additional carts. So we're trying, again, we just made this order a couple weeks ago, and there are individuals waiting for these carts to be compliant for certain issues that were addressed to their living unit. But there are other individuals just based on the demand. One cart, as we kind of spoke before, some of us was based on COVID. A lot of family members may be home, working from home, might be an increase in the demand and the type of refuse waste that they generate at their living unit, so.
I do have a question for you. You know how we have a number of businesses that have apartments above them? And I've been hearing that some of those places do not, they don't have the carts. They are required to have a dumpster, and Waste Management comes and picks their stuff up. Is that because of the business down below?
Correct. So if it's deemed a commercial type occupied business, then yes, they,
So the residents don't get their own garbage can upstairs?
correct.
The,
It's the business owner or the occupant that owns that facility is responsible for the refuse and recycling of that.
so they wouldn't need the
Correct.
carts?
Yep.
Okay.
Good question.
Dave, I have a question kind of coupled with that, because obviously I have my salon and we were dumpster only at the salon. I would because I had minimal waste with my salon. I just take my garbage home, to be honest with you. And the cost was immense for the property owner, just having a small hair salon downstairs and having 3 residential units in the building. It really was needed for them moreover than the business. I mean, like I said, if I have 1 to 2 bags of garbage a week,
Right.
I'm lucky to have that. But in instances like that, could we offer up carts for those businesses? What would we need to do? Not for the businesses, but for the residents within that business? Would that be helpful, or would that add too much to the route and expense?
Well, that would add more demand, but that is something that would have to be addressed in our ordinance.
Okay,
So that is something that, you know, if it is the will of the committee that we want to make changes to the existing ordinance, that is something that you as committee members could review, and we could have discussions about how it would affect staff and the demand for it.
yeah,
But it
that
would
wouldn't
be
be
a
a bad
change.
idea to look at, and I'm kinda going off topic, but I
Well,
just thought we'd
and I've
ask.
talked to a business owner, who rents from a landlord, and he's got apartments up above, and he gets penalized for the dumpster cost because, you know, his business is there, but he hardly uses it, and it's more that the neighborhood uses the dumpster. and
It's
got-
the truth, and
Yeah.
that's, my landlord actually, at the salon took away the dumpster. You know, it just made more sense because the neighborhood was just dumping in it.
And that's where I find that that's an issue, you know, that's why I was asking.
Basically, I like the idea of, hers that she indicated. If you could please, find out what area in the city has need of these carts? Is that possible without too much trouble?
Yeah, we can look through this through GIS and try to do, you know, where the
Right. I'd be
demand is
interested
and where
to-
they're missing.
To see.
You want
because-
to find out which is renter owned and owner occupied, right? That's what you were looking for?
Of households.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
okay. But which ones are renters and which ones are owners, correct? That's what you're looking at?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just area of the
Just as a
city.
Just the
Need
area of the city,
carts.
okay. Gotcha.
Because I felt that a lot of carts were sold when we had the, you might say, the cheap prices. So I'd be interested to see how many more are needed.
Sure. And the demand that, I guess, the amount that's still needed is around 1,500 to 2,000 living units or residential units.
Don't have
So that don't have
That
them.
don't have the
Right.
carts.
So we're almost, what, 88, 90% compliant. Everybody has them, so that remainder of the 10% or so.
I guess we'd have to look at the logistics on, if we would look at a change in ordinance for businesses to have the number of, units in a building versus, you know, like I said, ours has 3 units. I
Right.
think that should be managed by regular garbage collection versus a dumpster and maybe an 8-unit above, you know,
And then,
So,
a business.
so can we do 2 things? Can we do the price increase, like, say, today? And can we do this other stuff after you give us the information we're looking for, as far as the ordinance is concerned?
well, the discussion item was regarding the price
Right, yeah,
increase.
that's
So
right.
if that is
Right.
approved,
Okay,
my understanding that would take effect.
And we can
vote on
visit a
that
different one.
tonight at the recess.
at the recess meeting,
Okay.
because it's item 20 or something like
Okay.
that, and we wandered a little bit on our discussion,
Yeah.
but that's okay, we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Um,
Yeah.
If-
So, we'll just,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No. If you say the prices are high, what if after this COVID, the prices go down? Would we lower the price then?
Yes, so as it is written by our city attorney, he has provided that option for us. So as we receive future additional shipments where the price is reduced, I can communicate that change
Right, but if we buy
and adjust.
100 of them at
$58.
58 bucks,
800.
do they stay 58 until we run out, or is like all of a sudden,
It's for that order.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
we I think the order that was placed is around 230, 240 cards.
Yeah, we don't want to price
So
go down.
as they
I know,
run out,
we're dealing with
know,
like lumber futures now.
241,
It's
that
like, geez, I
number
gotta
is
wait
starting
another
the
month
new
until the
order with-
dumpster fees go down or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want
We tried to get
I
helium
think,
balloons for
personally, I think
birthday.
lock it in, but that ain't,
Well, it should be until that batch of that order is done.
Correct.
That's what it should be.
and that's what the
Yeah.
cost of that container or that cart was.
Okay.
I think it would be reasonable to go with the price increase.
Yeah,
As,
I
you
do
know,
too.
we shouldn't be
Yes,
subsidizing
I
that
agree.
in the
We
first
shouldn't be
place.
losing money.
No.
And
no,
I
same
like
with the
Because
TV.
the taxpayers
Same
are
with
losing money all the
TV.
way around
Like,
anyhow.
You know, it's a big moneymaker for West South. No, it was actually a big money loser, and now we're just breaking even now on the TV, so we're not,
Pretty much.
we're not in the salvage business here, folks. We're-
Exactly.
So, okay, with that
Right.
said, is there a motion to adjourn? We'll vote on it at the recess
Yeah.
meeting then, okay?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
because that's what
Motion
it,
to adjourn.
Second.
that's what it says.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you,
opposed?
Dave.
Yeah,
We are
thank you.
adjourned.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dave, and
Thank you.
the rest of the
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to take a roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale.
He is excused.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
Keen. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Stefanski. Moving on to item D, we have one item for public hearing this evening. I will ask the clerk to read item 1.
Substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2015, fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant Action Plans relative to allocating $300,000 of program income and contingency funding to the fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant activity, increasing the activity budget from $212,000 to a total of $512,000.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Mr. Schloss.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Common Council. We're fulfilling a requirement that we have within the CDBG program, that when we move money within an action plan of this sort, it's called a substantial amendment, and we have a citizen participation plan that says we have to conduct a public hearing. The money would be moved to the Economic Development Loan program within the CDBG program. Most of the money has been already accounted for the business loan that was approved by Common Council for GG003 LLC, which is the dental office on 71st and National. That's part of the development agreement that was approved some time back, but this is to transfer money that from activities that have not utilized all the resources that have accumulated into this contingency fund, as well as repayment of housing loans and economic development loans, such as interest, income, and then devoting that resources back to this economic development activity to do more loans, etc. Will that answer any questions you may have?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the Common Council? Hearing none, are there any questions from the members of the audience? Okay, hearing none, we will close public hearing number 1, which is our only public hearing, and we will move on to item E on our agendas, which is citizen participation. This is when the council may receive information from members of the public during this 30-minute period. Each speaker must announce their name and address for our official record, sign in at the podium, and please limit your comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes. Does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, hearing none, we will close citizen participation and we will move on to item F. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on the top of page 2 of your agendas. Moving to item G, I don't really have much of a mayor's report other than to just remind everybody that we are hours away from the beginning of State Fair, which is going to be a mixed bags of fun and occasional hiccups and headaches, but please let us know if there are things regarding the fair that we can help with. I know a lot of people are very excited to welcome visitors back after missing it last year, so we are very much looking forward to that. Does anybody have any reports from the Common Council this evening? All right.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of July 13th, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any changes or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. We have no standing committee reports, which brings us then to item K, which is the consent agenda.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item L.
Mayor Devine, I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in recess.
Come to order. I see we are all here except for one from the first district, Alderman Vitale. So we will start with item 19 tonight. Ordinance to update newspaper distribution box regulations to comport with state law. And Pete, I believe this has been handled, but if you want to share anything with us, you're more than welcome.
Okay. The old ordinance had a 15-day waiting period to get rid of the boxes, so Kale thought we could, everything else we can remove immediately. Dave usually has the authority to immediately remove anything that's in the right-of-way, so that, I think, is the biggest change. But yes, the Shepherd Express has already removed all their boxes
Okay.
because they didn't want to pay the $30 per box.
Okay.
So,
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And then we have item 20, resolution to amend fee schedule by adding refuse cart pricing to Public Works section. Now, we met on this earlier, and maybe you want to just touch on it again, Dave, for people that are
It's
just turning on TV now?
increase in pricing that's based on the new purchasing of refuse containers. We do provide refuse containers in two different sizes, 96 gallon and 64 gallon. Those prices went from $45 to $58 for the 96 gallon. And then for the 64, it went from $40 to $48.
Yeah.
So those prices were increased, and we feel that's due to the materials, the resin, the plastic material to make those containers.
And again, it's
so-
been increased because our costs went up.
Yes.
These are not money makers for us.
Correct, yep.
Move to approve?
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, this motion carries as well. Item 21 is resolution to approve an agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation to allow temporary parklet or pedlet installations on West Greenfield Avenue, WIS 59, between 76 and 70th, basically the downtown district. And I'm thinking Pete wants to talk about this one, correct? And what the changes
Yeah,
were?
I guess Kale just got a final version about 2 hours ago, that got everything that Kale was looking for as far as the insurance. But it's too late for Camino. I guess they didn't want to wait. I mean, it's already August, so I don't think they're gonna put one in, but Ms. Suenos.
Next
Yeah, well, that's another discussion,
Oh.
but Ms. Suenos and Urban Joe's already have one, so this permit would cover them. I've asked WISDOT many times about next year, because their policy is they do not allow them ever. The only reason they're doing this is because of COVID. So I can't get them to say that they're gonna allow this next year. So this agreement that we're signing is really just for 2021.
But we didn't have COVID 5 years ago when the pedlets were
They-
coming out.
WISDOT didn't care until the Federal Highway Administration started nosing around and got their nose out of joint, because if the right-of-way was paid for with federal funds, they're very strict at the federal and state level about no commercial use of right-of-way. So they're very sensitive. They've always been sensitive about that. You can't have any commercial signs, or they don't like commercial use of the right-of-way. So the federal highway must have gotten wind of this. I mean, it's not just Wisconsin. I mean, it's every state in the country. And the feds came down on the state and said, what are you doing about this? And the state that's what triggered all this, I think.
So the state is responsible for it, not the federal highway
The
department.
feds are making the state enforce
Right,
a
but we could
law
also.
that was on the books, that they were kind of looking the other way, I
Go
guess.
ahead, please.
So does that mean that the feds are gonna come and take care of the roads when that need to be plowed and stuff then, because they're not gonna let us do what
They
we
would
want
argue
with
that
our-
they have paid for, they do pay, the feds do pay for a lot of the work that WISDOT does. I mean, a large part of it, so they would argue that they did pay for some of it, but, so yeah, I don't have any guarantees that this will be allowed next year. We can do it on any others, we could do it on Beecher, Mark Lutz could do it.
Anything that's not a
We can-
state.
It's just not a state highway,
Highway.
so I can't do it. on
Chairman
highway
Rowe?
thing.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So this has nothing to do with it being an actual issue as far as litigation, injuries,
No,
anything
it
like
isn't.
that. It's just not using it for commercial
Not to my
reasons.
knowledge, unless the federal highway had some cases, maybe in New York City or something, I don't know. I'm not aware of that, but,
Okay.
Well, that's too bad, because they were welcome. They were
Yeah.
nice little
Right.
things.
Nice
People like
to
them.
have.
right. But they're making an exception for COVID, and they have not said what will happen next year. So I'm not optimistic. Just the body language I'm seeing, that I don't think they're gonna approve this next year, but we'll see. We'll try. But
Mr.
this is
Chair?
really just for this year.
Please.
So basically, this will end then this year?
November 1st, they have to be picked up before Dave starts plowing.
Okay,
So so this is really just for
Yeah,
3 more months.
these businesses wouldn't be allowed to put up the pedal.
No, and that's why Camino backed out. They had wanted to do it in May, and we kept having them wait because we weren't sure what the requirements were gonna be, but, so we got most of what we wanted in this agreement, but hopefully this is a, blueprint for next year, but I really don't know if that's gonna hapen.
And we're
Mr.
hoping
Chair?
Dave doesn't start plowing till late December.
Hopefully we won't have to.
January works for me.
So we're safe.
Don't push it.
Chairman Road, I have another question.
Yes, please.
So in instances like Ms. Sueno's or other areas that already have their pedlets and being it wouldn't be a highway, Could they move it to a side street? Would we consider
yeah.
things like
We
that?
could- we
So
could permit it on
that
a side
that
street.
investment that these businesses have already incurred, we can maybe work with them to find a
Yeah,
different.
I mean, they're both mid-block,
Correct.
so, I mean, it'd be better if they were on a corner or something.
Urban
but
Joe's
what
has
about-
that park next to him, doesn't
Well, and
it?
that's what,
something
Yeah.
yeah,
to
but
the
that's
east?
BMO, I,
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
I think that's being nice.
Yeah. Okay, with that being said, I would make a motion to approve.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Then we go to item 22, resolution to approve the sole source proposal of Stormwater Solutions Engineering LLC, better known as SSE, or also known as, to design green infrastructure improvement along 65th and 66th Streets for an amount not to exceed $81,000 in approving a 2021 Engineering Department fund transfer and amending the 2021 capital improvement program. Go ahead, Pete, please.
Well, we've been working with MMSD for, I don't know, almost a year, a year now on this. It came out of their resilience plan that MMSD did. They want to help communities be more resilient against climate change. And, they kept saying they wanted to leverage some of our existing projects. So 65th and 66th Streets were going to be done next year. They're in the CIP program. And MMSD said, well, let's do some stormwater green infrastructure on these, and we'll help you. We'll give you some money. And this also is coming from the federal government. The EPA has this program called Greening America, and they were working with MMSD to teach us a process to involve stakeholders. So we were going to have some meetings in the fall where we reach out to the neighborhood and kind of, it's more inclusive of more stakeholders. But long story short, we're going to put in some permeable pavement maybe and some bioswales. MMSD is going to help us pay for some of it. The EPA apparently has some money. We don't know how much exactly. Stormwater Solutions is the company that MMSD hired to come up with the concept plan. I think that I attached their report to this in the Legistar. So I would like to hire that same firm to do the actual design. And we're doing this in record time because the 66th Street is right next to the farmer's market. So I can't promise that we'll be completely done by May 1st, but I want to get a very early start. That means I got to go to bid in January. That means I got 6 months to design it. So we're going to need some help. And designing bioswales is not something my staff or I have any knowledge about doing. So we need some experts to come in and help us. MMSD is going to help us with that. So
Mr. Chair.
that's what we're doing.
Please.
By doing this and getting the money from the EPA and MMSD, does that mean it's gonna lower the cost for the residents that have to contribute?
The special assessment rates are always the same for everybody. We don't alter them if there's federal funds, because the goal is to have everyone pay the same, everyone be treated equally. Some people maybe would win the luck of the draw and be on a street like National, or not so much. No, we always keep the special assessments the same, unless we can't make a profit off special assessments. But if there's the special assessments are really only 20% of a job. So as long as we're not paying, I'm not explaining this well, but as long as we don't make a profit, we always charge the same.
So
So everyone's treated the same.
So what will be the ultimate benefit for this?
Less stormwater, less pollution. MMSD thinks this will help us be more resilient in climate change. They're predicting, actually, this area by Liberty Heights Park, on their maps,
So less
it could be
potential,
a flooding area,
less potential backup?
Yes,
Type
yes,
thing? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And this will help with our clean water permit
Yes,
as well?
yes,
Okay.
it will help with.
Alderman
that.
Reinke.
Mr. Chair, could you elaborate a little bit on what they mean by green infrastructure?
Well, that would be the permeable pavers like we have at the library where the bricks let the water go through. Yeah, or a bioswale. We're gonna build a couple of bioswales in these parking lots in the bid this year.
Okay,
kind of a swale with some wetland plants that will absorb the water.
right.
Will also be attractive, hopefully.
So we're green, we're
Green,
greening.
but it's also a place for the water to percolate in and settle in, and then the pollution
Right.
stays on the ground and the water is cleaned and goes into the ground. So it's a way of cleaning the water.
So the water quality will be.
Right, the underground water
Right.
is cleaner.
Okay. I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries as well. Item 23, resolution to approve bid of CW Pearl Inc. for the reconstruction of municipal parking lots at South 71st to South 72nd and West Greenfield Avenue to West Orchard, and South 73rd to South 74th and West Greenfield Avenue to West Orchard in the amount of $640,230. Anything you wanna?
Well, like I just said, these two parking lots are actually gonna have bioswales
Right.
and permeable pavement. We're actually taking away a few parking spots to create almost like a little park, like a little mini park where the swale is. So I mean, it's gonna be an attractive area in the back, because right now it's just all asphalt. We're observing that most all the parking spots are not used typically. So I think we can give up a few, and clean the water, make a little more of a park environment, and green it up a little bit. So I think they'll be nice addition to the bid district downtown.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Alderman Grisham.
Pete, I just have one question. I think it's a great idea, but those municipal parking lots are also used for tenants in that area to have overnight parking. How many spots are we gonna lose, and will that impact?
It was like 5. I mean, it was very,
Okay,
very
so-
small number.
Okay, all right, that was my question. I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
when were these lots reconstructed previously? I remember.
The
them
70s,
from
I think it's been quite a while.
Has it been?
Yeah, they don't get as much wear and tear as a street. But I don't believe they've been paved in a very long time, since the 70s.
Okay. Time flies.
Right. When I
Thank
was
you.
this tall.
TikTok. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And last, we have item 24, resolution to approve the bid of DC Burbach Inc. for concrete pavement patching and miscellaneous manhole adjustments in various locations throughout the city of West Allis in the amount of $271,692. I think this is just a miscellaneous patching throughout the city that we do where, okay.
Like where
Move to approve.
we have manhole covers that are sunk
Second.
down and stuff like that.
In some cases, yeah, I mean, a lot of it's cracked concrete or mostly cracked concrete or potholes.
It's been moved and
Seconded.
Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Is there a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Okay, moving on. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
this guy.
I will call License and Health Committee to order. All members are present with the exception of Alderman Vitale, who is excused. We'll start with item 12, ordinance to amend special event permit process 0/2021-0061. And I believe this was really just to take a look at what process we're doing right now and its efficiencies, or can I have an explanation?
Yeah, it was getting a little complicated with all the departments going back and forth with estimating the cost and then following up with the applicants to get the money and things like that. So it wasn't really, the amount of time that we were expending to get the money back wasn't working very well for the departments. So this is simplifying it a lot and helping with the block parties to just say those are $50 period for the neighborhood block parties, adding a definition for that, and then any events that are going to be estimated less than $500, we're not charging them that. Anything additional, what is it, $125 and $150, depending upon the class?
Well, so that's another thing, was we eliminated the classes actually too, which was confusing for the public and for staff. So it was $200 for a single special event permit, but only $50 if it's a block party. So the simplified fee structure is, I think, a little easier for both the public and staff to help administer. Plus, it actually eliminates the insurance requirement, which was onerous for certain public events. And instead, it just simply says that if you got any insurance, you don't want it, you should probably get it, but we're not going to be the insurance police. And then it simplifies, I think, a little bit of the way that if there is some very large special event in which the city incurs a significant amount of costs, over $1,000 of costs, there is a way of collecting that money. But for those moderate ones where it was, if we were breaking even on the efforts to collect, that would be a good day. Instead, we're saving it so the collection efforts happen when it's actually worth it, and it should overall be a savings of time and money for the city.
Okay, I do have a question. I know, just kind of touching base on block parties. One of the things we discussed when we put this together was conditions for neighborhood associations as incentives and whatnot. Will this impact them, that it's across the board, or will we still give them the opportunity to have like one event in the summer through the West Dallas PD and just give them the
If they're working with the
information?
police department, they
Okay.
still have the same opportunity.
Okay, so neighborhood associations will not be impacted that way based on the conditions we had put on it before?
Yes, so the way it works is if it's an event authorized by the Community Services Unit of the Police Department, then there's no permit required for that event.
Okay, all right, that's my question.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 13, 2021-0487, new Class A beer license application for Greeby's Bakery Incorporated, doing business as Greeby's Bakery, located at 5132 West Lincoln Avenue. Agent Brandon T. Greeby. My understanding, in speaking with Kale prior to the meeting, was that this is basically the same permissions that we gave for this Class A, which was a special stout beer.
Yeah.
That was going to be served, basically, that is the only alcoholic beverage. And I believe we put a condition on that would be that, and that at the end of the license year, it would be surrendered. I think what was explained to me is Mr. Greeby would like to be able to just renew this and not have to come back each year for that. So it basically would be the same thing that he has right now, with the exception going forward, he doesn't need to surrender the license. Am I correct on that?
Yes, so I think the request was to still have that condition that Imperial Stout that they serve is the only alcohol they're allowed to serve, but instead put him on the renewal cycle as opposed to the annual new license cycle.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
so if the committee agrees with that, a motion to grant the license with the condition of having the single stout be the only served beverage, then that's all the committee would have to do.
That was my question, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
do I understand this right? They already have a license?
In the mid-year of 2020 to 2021, they asked for a license.
Right.
And the council granted them that license, but put two conditions on it. One, that they only sell that beer for breakfast stout that they make out of their own, I think it's part of the brewing process, the leftovers, or the baking process is used to make the beer, something along those lines. But just that one special beer is all they wanted to serve. That was one condition. The second condition, though, was that they surrender the license at the end of the license year, thereby making it not a permanent property interest and not putting the council in a position where they had to renew it unless there was a violation. It was sort of a way of giving them a trial period to see how it went. There were no issues that were reported, and they did in fact just serve the single beer the whole time. So the request now is to have a regular license without the need to surrender, so they could get on the renewal schedule, but they're still okay with the condition of selling that single beer that was made, I think it was made in East Troy somewhere.
The
Yeah.
crawler
It was a
flavored
crawler
beer.
flavor,
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for refreshing my memory.
So I make a motion to approve under those the stipulations you dictated.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approves. Okay, we're going to move on to item 14, 2021-0570, Christian Plumeri, agent for K Plum LLC, Class B Tavern and Public Entertainment License Renewal Application with jukebox, pool table, amusement machines, and patrons dancing for Walker Inn at 900 South 74th Street.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Item 15, 2021-0550, renewal applications for certain licenses, adult-oriented establishment operator license, public entertainment premise, manufactured mobile homes and secondhand article and jewelry dealers, adult-oriented establishment operator license, Victoria Galindo Temptations, public entertainment premise, Brandon Cuffer, Chuck E. Cheese, number 843, manufactured mobile homes, Joel Brown, Lincoln Park Mobile Home Community, second-hand article dealer, Jackie Hallberg Goodwill Retail Services, Michael Cheney, PC Repair, Minerva Sanchez, Happy 8 Collectibles, Svetlana Stanek, Three Sisters Furniture, second-hand jewelry dealer, James Barnes for Barnes Goldsmith Shop.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item 16, 2021-0573, Class B Tavern temporary premise extension and temporary public entertainment premises request for Dick and Gloria's Cocktails and Dreams LLC, doing business as Cocktails and Dreams, 2201 South 55th Street, with 3 exceptions. Exception from the contiguous area from the proximity to residential premises requirement. Establishment is less than 200 feet from the residential premise. An exception from the sound limitations for an event to be held on Saturday, August 28th, 2021. Do we have a representative from Dick and Gloria's here? Okay, would you mind coming forward? Yeah, please. And your name is?
Sarah Jablonski.
Sarah, nice to meet you. With the exceptions, usually the committee wants to hear basically details of your event. So can you give us an overview of what the event is going to be? And
It's a surprise 29th bar anniversary party. We're surprising the owners with it. We're having a pig roast. We're gonna have a couple bands outside. So we are gonna block off half the road. So, you know, with COVID, there's social distancing outside. That'd be more comfortable.
okay, what is the time frame that you have on this one? When would you like to have it?
About 1 p.m. to about 9 p.m.
Till 9 p.m.? Okay, and you're going to have 2 bands
Correct.
simultaneously, or? Okay. I was
They're gonna
going
have
to
a
say that
break
would
in the
make it a
middle.
little difficult to hear. Okay,
It's like a country and a bluesy rocks band.
okay.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Can we, or it says from an exception from sound limitations. I think we should keep it at the decibel level we've continued to do with other businesses around here. That's just a suggestion, which is under 100 decibels. I think they've been averaging around 88 to 92,
Right.
but keeping it under 100 decibels.
I think that's reasonable, but as far as gauging that, how would they do that for one single event? Is somebody going to have a decibel reader?
Are you having a sound company coming in and doing the sound?
Yes.
Most sound companies have decibel readers.
Okay, all right. I think that's reasonable. I would agree with that, that it would have to be 100 decibels or less.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
how close in proximity are you to residential?
We want to block off Grant Street. There's really no neighbors that close. There's one across the alley from us,
Okay.
which still that's, I would say, a good 2 house lengths away. And the other one's on 55th Street. Otherwise, we have railroad tracks right across the street and a warehouse building.
Okay.
I have an additional question. Have you had events like this in the past at all with outdoor music?
We did 2 years ago with music.
Have you had any complaints from the neighbors? Okay. Are you going to invite the neighbors?
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
invite the neighbor. Yes,
There we go. Yeah.
send a car for 'em.
Yes, exactly. I think that's reasonable, especially when you're having an event outside, that at least you touch base with your
Everybody's
neighbors.
welcome, let's put it that way.
Madam
Sounds
Chair,
good. Go ahead.
All you guys do.
is this the same situation for number 17 then as well? Another event?
That one, it's gonna be a shorter party. That one's only gonna be like 3 hours outside,
Okay.
if that.
Well, and you know what? Thank you for pointing that out, Alderman Stefanski, because we could have taken 16 and 17
Yeah, I-
together, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
So if we
'cause
can
if we
make that adjustment, are you okay with that, everyone?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, so we'll take 16 and 17 together, and, yeah, the only thing is the stipulation that Alderman Stefanski put in, that it would have to be 100 decibels or less,
I will make sure.
the amendment, that would be, or condition.
Is that measured at the border of the premises or the 100 feet away? What distance would you like that measured?
Okay, what were we doing in past?
What are we doing at Paulie's, do you remember?
I believe it was 100 decibels, 100 feet away from the premises.
Yes,
I don't, okay.
yes. I believe that's what you're right.
100.
Yep, 100.
Okay, so we would need a motion to approve with the condition of 100 decibels or less at 100 feet.
I make a motion to approve that.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
have your-
Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you.
Hope you have a great event.
I hope they don't watch this meeting.
Pardon me?
Make sure they don't watch the meeting.
Okay, final item 18, 2021-0585 Class B temporary premise extension request for 5th District Pub Incorporated doing business as Lynch's, 2300 South 108th, with one exception, request from the proximity to residential premises requirement. Establishment is less than 200 feet from the residence. I believe that there was an error in this. Am I correct?
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead, please.
The exception is supposed to be from the normal duration because the event is actually after Labor Day. And these extensions are from the Memorial Day to Labor Day weekend.
Oh, okay.
So this is,
Good
he's
catch.
requesting on September 25th. So it's just the one-day only event. I also wanted to get direction from the committee as far as if you wanted people that were coming after Labor Day. Did you still want them to come up here for one-day only events? Because you decided not to do that during the duration. I just want to know if you want that.
Are there thoughts on that?
We don't get that many requests for these events.
We don't. I know of a couple businesses that are going to come after Labor Day. Paulie was one of them that wanted to have his Harvest Fest. And I think if it is more than a one-day event, yes, I would like to see them come before committee. If it's a one-day event, I think you guys can use your discretion.
And if they're gonna follow the
Yeah.
ordinance and things like that, then we're good.
Right. Well, thanks for coming in
100,
again.
yep.
You're a frequent flyer these days.
Well, one of the reasons we're putting the event off is it usually was at the end of August, but we have some weddings that clashed against it.
Okay.
So we moved to the only available date that they could do this breast cancer mini golf outing for the ladies. And it just happens to fall on September, which according to my extended premise, I have to have the apply again for one weekend, or actually it's just one day event, which is only from 11 till about 6 o'clock.
Would it be unreasonable to waive the 25, considering he would have had it in August, and being it's a benefit for breast cancer? I'm just asking. Would that be something that we would ever do?
Madam Chair, my suggestion would be to only either permanently waive for all applicants or enforce for all applicants despite the altruistic nature of the event.
Makes sense. So $25 it is.
Is that it?
Thank you for coming in. All right, that looks like,
We need
go
a
ahead.
motion to approve, right?
To approve.
Yes, we do have to.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then also, Madam Chair, in situations like this, when people are coming in, this item would still appear on the agenda somewhere. It's just a matter of whether you want it to be scheduled for the recess meeting or not.
Okay.
So if the direction today is we'll schedule things like this for the consent agenda, unless someone then pulls it, but we won't invite the person in, we'll do it consent agenda style. But any particular event or series of events, anyone on the committee could pull that item and request it, someone to come in.
Okay,
That's fine.
all right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Narski, please report to the dais.
Tens of millions of dollars.
No, that's okay.
Okay, let's pronounce it right. It's Stacy Stefanan.
Narski. Okay, good evening. We're going to call the Common Council back to order. I will ask the clerk to take the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Keen.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. We will begin with the Administration and Finance Committee, chaired by Alderman Haas. I will ask the clerk to read out the report from that committee meeting.
The Administration and Finance Committee recommended approval of items 7 through 11.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. Are there any questions on the items from the Administration and Finance Committee? Any discussion? There is no discussion. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Next up, we have the License and Health Committee, which has a guest chairperson this evening, Vice Chair Grisham.
Hello, everyone.
I'll ask the clerk to read out the License and Health Committee report.
The License and Health Committee recommended passage of item number 12, approval of item 13 with the condition that the sale is limited to the Imperial Stout, granting of items 13 through 15, and 16 and 17 have a stipulation that the sound is supposed to be under 100 decibels from 100 feet from the premises, and then granting of item number 18.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you. Any discussion on the License and Health Committee report? Okay. Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. And next up, the Alderman Rote-led Public Works Committee report. I will ask the clerk to read that out.
The Public Works Committee recommended adoption of items 19 through 24.
I move in accordance of the committee report, Mayor Devine.
Thank you. Any discussion on the committee report from Public Works? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. And next up, we have the Safety and Development Committee chaired by Alderman Lysick. I will ask the clerk to read out the report from that committee meeting.
The Safety and Development Committee recommended passage of item 26. Items 25 and 27 were held for a public hearing.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the committee report of item number 26. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next regularly scheduled meeting Tuesday, September 7th at 7 p.m.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.